Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 32 of the DNA Film Wars podcast. Today is our much anticipated 2018 wrap-up episode.
Who's anticipating this?
Coming to you very late. Very, very, very late. Today we're going to do top 5 worst movies.
Top 5 best.
Top 5 best, followed by
our most overrated movie.
And our most underrated movie. So, I guess we'll just jump right into it. You want to go with your number 5 worst movie?
Yeah.
Worst movie?
Coming at number 5 on my top 5 worst films of 2018, I'm going to have Mile 22. This movie was pretty bad, I think, in my opinion. It's supposed to be, a Mark Wahlberg action film, but the editing of this movie is very sloppy. The action scenes are not filmed very well. You can't tell what's going on. It's all quick cut and jumpy. Other than that, Mark Wahlberg is honestly kind of obnoxious in this movie, the way he acts in the film.
Don't talk about Mark like that.
I'm sorry. He just annoys me in the movie. But, overall, it's not a very well-made movie. It's kind of boring. It's drab, poorly edited, and it's not very well acted, so it comes in at number 5.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I haven't seen nearly as many movies this year as Dylan.
I think we tallied it up last night. I have seen 80 different films, and I went to the movies 121 times in 2018.
Yeah, I didn't actually count mine. It's probably somewhere around the 40, 50 range. So his list might be a lot more indicative of what is actually the best and worst movies. But actually, I don't know how different our list will be.
Some of them are similar.
Yeah. But coming in at my number 5 on top 5 worst movies, The Predator.
Oof.
Yeah, that movie was rough. There are parts of it I liked that I thought were kind of funny, but overall, I didn't like the CGI Super Predator. I didn't. Oh man,
the Predator Killer.
That end shot with that horrible CGI Predator suit or whatever.
He come in 36 long.
God, that was terrible. And then the Predator dog and everything.
Don't ask for that.
Yeah, it was a disappointing movie. I'm a Predator fan. I'll say it. I love the Predator fan. I love one of the Predator movies. I like the first Predator movie. I like the first Predator movie. I think the Predators with what's his face from that played in the King Kong movie and the pianist.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy. That movie's all right. And I don't hate Predator 2, but Predator number 5.
All right. Coming in number 4 for me is The Nutcracker in the Four Realms. I thought this movie was terrible.
Didn't watch it.
It was bad. It's boring. I guess it's okay to look at, but it's one of those Disney movies that you're like, why? Why did you make this? Kind of like, A Wrinkle in Time, or how they did John Carter a while back and The Lone Ranger. It's like, these were classic ideas that people had already had, and you're like, why did you do this and put your own spin on it? Like, stick to your live action remakes and your series that you do. Like, that's what they need to do. That's what they need to make. But they did this, and it's bad. And all the actors in it are obnoxious, except for
don't talk about Morgan Freeman like that.
Morgan Freeman is like the only decent person in this movie. Keira Knightley is terrible. She has like this little kid with like, oh, welcome to the land of Nutcracker Realm.
Oh god,
it was so bad. Mackenzie Foy is all right. Morgan Freeman, he's in the whole movie for about 5 minutes.
Oh.
So he's there.
He's there.
He needed a paycheck apparently.
Yeah. He's not working much these days.
Poorly made. The story was terrible. The twist where the Sugar Plum Fairy is actually the bad guy.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Stupid. Oh, I saw it coming from a mile away. It's like, oh, Sugar Plum Fairy's gonna be the bad guy. It was bad. It was just bad. Number 4.
All right, my number 4 is a movie we watched not long after. I think it was our second movie of the podcast, Hunter Killer, with Gerard Butler.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't good.
It was not good.
It was bad.
The more I think about it, the worse it was. Like, I don't know. It felt like it was 2 different movies for one thing. Like, one movie with Gerard Butler under the water, then another like SEAL Team movie on land. The SEAL Team movie was better than the actual main story with Gerard Butler. And it was like over the top. Some of the CGI was pretty bad. Acting was not that great.
It had Gary Oldman.
For about 5 minutes it did. Yeah, and Common. Don't forget about Common.
Oh, it had Common in it.
Common was the worst actor in that movie, too. But overall, That movie was not good. And we had to go see it at the expensive theater, so I wasted money on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we did.
Piece of crap. So
it's okay. It is what it is.
It's unfortunate. I think I was actually kind of kind to it looking back on my review. I don't know why.
Gerard Butler.
That was my number 4.
All right, coming in number 3. Coming in at number 3 for me is going to be Robin Hood. This movie was bad. It's so bad. It's dreary to look at. It's got this horrible gray tone almost the entire movie. The characters are terrible. You don't care anything about them. The acting is like phoned in, like they're just there for a paycheck. They don't care about the movie. Costuming is awful. It looks like these people are wearing stuff that I see people out on the street wearing today. It's not, indicative of what they wore in the times. Other than that, I mean, it's bad. But it's somewhat enjoyable, I guess, to a degree, for how ridiculous it is. I'll give it that. Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad. Actually, at number 3, I got Robin Hood too.
Oh, man.
We were thinking the same thing.
It's bad.
It's bad. I didn't hate it as much as you did.
I didn't hate it, horribly. I mean, I enjoyed it because it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yeah. But yeah, it's bad. The acting, the CGI, the poorly edited action sequences, the superhero quality of Robin Hood. Like, he was more of a superhero
than a common thief.
Than David Dunn's going to be in our Unbreakable review when we talk about that. Like, he did more superhuman stuff. So,
it was bad.
It was bad. Moving on.
All right, coming at number 2 for me is a movie it was bad. Mortal Engines, which Aaron didn't see my thoughts and opinions on.
I didn't hate that movie.
I'll give it this. I'll give it this. This movie is really pretty to look at. You got to give Peter Jackson and his team, which Peter Jackson didn't even direct this, and that's one of my problems with the movie, is that it was heavily marketed as a Peter Jackson film. This is not a Peter Jackson film. He produced it.
He was one of the writers.
And I think he helped produce this film.
Yeah.
The director is his main art designer for most of his films. I'll give it. It's pretty to look at. It's not bad. CGI is passable. Other than that, I thought this movie was terrible. The characters I don't care for. The story itself is terrible. There's not a whole lot of exposition for me that explains things very well. Some of the flashbacks are some of the worst scenes in the movie that give you any of the exposition that you want. But overall, I think the story is what really drags this movie down. The story and the acting are just awful. But it's pretty to look at. Number 2.
Yep. My number 2 is Darkest Minds. I went and saw this movie just kind of, I wasn't planning on it, but we were going to the theater to see something else, and I don't know, plans changed, and I was like, okay, well, what are we going to watch? And Darkest Minds was there, and so I was like,
oof.
All right, well, I mean, it can't be that bad, right?
No,
I was wrong. It's that bad. The YA formula is so
overdone
in that movie.
Thank you, Harry Potter.
Thank you, Harry Potter, and especially the one that really.
Thank you, X-Men and the Hunger Games.
I was gonna say the one that really established this particular formula that all the ones follow right now is the Hunger Games, and this is just another Hunger Games ripoff
with X-Men qualities,
with X-Men powers, sort of. I wish they were more like regular X-Men, but the fact that whatever eye color you have determines whatever power you have. Oh man, it was so stupid. And then what's the lady's name? She plays Captain Phasma in Star Wars, and she's
Geraldine Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie. Geraldine. I don't know where you got that.
I don't know where I got that from.
Gwendolyn Christie. She is in this movie as a bad guy for it's a total throwaway role. She's in the movie for about 10 minutes. You don't even realize it's her until way late in the movie, and I'm like, why would you, someone who like her
aren't you on Game of Thrones?
Yeah, aren't you a respected actress on Game of Thrones? Why would you do this to yourself? I mean, because the role she's in is absolutely
aren't you in Star Wars? No,
it's barely. We'll talk about that in The Last Jedi, but yeah, I felt sorry for her. I don't know why maybe she needed a paycheck. Maybe Game of Thrones wasn't cutting the money situation. I don't know.
Maybe they weren't filming Game of Thrones at the time.
They probably weren't. And she was just like, hey, here's a side project. But
I need some money.
But, oh God. And it's just terrible. And it ended on a super sequel bait.
That movie's not getting a sequel.
That movie's not. It bombed epically. Everybody forgot about it the instant it came out.
What movie did we just watch? No.
Yeah, I wasted my money on that one. So, Darkest Minds, number 2.
All right. Do you want to do the dishonorable mentions now, or you want to do them after we finish the top 5?
Let's go ahead and
like Top Mojo does.
Yeah, like we'll copy off.
Well, we're gonna copy Top Mojo here. We're gonna do some dishonorable mentions. I'll give my first dishonorable mention, and I'm gonna start from the bottom up. My first dishonorable mention is gonna be Venom. This is one that I know is kind of people are torn on, and don't get me wrong, this movie's not awful. It's enjoyable to a degree. I really like Tom Hardy in this movie. I like Tom Hardy and his interaction with Venom as a character, but other than that, most of this is just bad. CGI is pretty questionable. I think they try to hide it a lot with the fact that most of the movie takes place at night. The villain is poorly written. I don't care about Carlton Drake as the villain. It's not good. And the chemistry between, I don't even remember her name right now, and Tom Hardy is terrible, and pretty much everyone else besides Tom Hardy in this movie is not very good. So that's why it's my first dishonorable mention.
Yeah, my first dishonorable mention is Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. This movie's not total hot garbage, but it's not good. It's really boring. And the Harry Potter franchise is now kind of copying Star Wars with prequelitis. Prequels are dragging the name down and dragging the name through the mud.
There's going to be 5 of these when it's all said and done.
If they keep making... This one, I think, just barely turned a profit. Like, just barely.
They're going to have to need the next one to be good.
And the plot twist at the end, I didn't really care for. And yeah, overall, the movie was just not good. So...
That's fair.
That was my first dishonorable mention.
Alright, so my second dishonorable mention, we're only going to do 2, is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This movie's really... It's honestly pretty bad. Especially the ending. No one asked for Downton Abbey with dinosaurs. No one asked for that.
How do you know what Downton Abbey is? You never watched it.
That's fair, but I just assumed.
But yeah, the house is kind of big like that.
But the large corporate subplot that takes place with the entire movie is ridiculous. The Indoraptor is dumb. Pretty much everything about this movie sucks. Even Chris Pratt is not good in this movie. I don't even care for Chris Pratt in this movie, and that's saying something, because Chris Pratt's a pretty likable actor.
He's a pretty charismatic guy.
And he's not good in this movie. It's like he just showed up.
He phoned it in.
He phoned it in with this one, so Lord hope the next one's better. This one was bad.
Yeah,
Is it going to follow classic Jurassic Park formula, and the second one be the worst in the trilogy?
Well, the third one's the worst.
I thought the second one was the worst.
No, I don't know what movies you've been watching.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen 2 and 3.
I mean, the second one's not necessarily good, but it's not the worst. But my second dishonorable mention is a movie that did not come out in theaters. Came out on Netflix. So I am justifying Netflix's original movies here. The Cloverfield Paradox.
Oof.
The movie's rough. It's
that is not a Cloverfield movie from what I understand. I've not seen it.
Well, okay, so 10 Cloverfield. So what happened was, they make the original Cloverfield.
It was good.
And so then this movie called 10 Cloverfield Lane comes out, kind of surprised.
And it was really good.
What happened was, and this all came out, I think before the movie came out, is that whatever company it was, I don't even know if it was Bad Robots that originally owned the movie, Bad Robot Productions.
No, I think what had happened was this
movie was filmed completely.
And it was a completely different movie.
It was a dead in the water, whatever. They couldn't find a distributor for it or something. And
I think Netflix picked it
up. No, not 10 Cloverfield Lane.
No, I'm talking about this Cloverfield.
Well, this one is, but I'm talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane, the first one. Abrams came up and he's like, okay, guys, I got an idea. Let's make this a sort of quasi-sequel to Cloverfield with a few reshoots and call it a movie and release it as a Cloverfield tie-in or something. He didn't call it a sequel necessarily. So they released it. The movie's actually really good. 10 Cloverfield Lane, I'm still talking about it. The movie's actually...
It's really good, actually.
It's really
John
good.
Goodman is really good.
And even the reshoots where they go and she escapes and there's aliens or whatever.
That's like the only thing they added to that movie, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't even mind that part, honestly. I thought that was kind of an interesting twist of you have all these movies about these crazy people that think that aliens are invading. In this movie, it turns out he was actually right. The aliens did invade. I actually like that twist. I like that reshoot. My problem with that movie was that it in no way tied into Cloverfield. Then comes along this movie. It was originally called God Particle. It was the same situation that was with 10 Cloverfield Lane. It had already been filmed. It was kind of dead in the water. Nobody wanted to release it. So Netflix and Bad Robot Productions team up and they're like,
Guys, I got it.
And Abrams was like, okay, we'll do the same thing with this movie.
And of course, in classic Cloverfield fashion, it had like a crazy marketing campaign.
Yeah, well, it
had no marketing campaign.
They did not. They didn't advertise it till the night it came out on Netflix. They advertised it on the Super Bowl.
During the Super Bowl. They're like,
and they're like, after the Super Bowl, it's on Netflix, which is a really neat idea. I really love that idea. Unfortunately, the movie kind of sucks. And what happened was they did more. They added more to this film. Like they intercut it with scenes with the main actress's husband, like on Earth, like, and you can tell like there are monsters like kind of roaming around in the shadows and stuff while he's like trying to live. And I think they do a better job with this one of tying it into the Cloverfield universe. They actually try to make the second one tie in too, because they like have this big explanation of like it shattered everything to a bunch of different realities, and that caused 10 Cloverfield. One was the first Cloverfield movie. One was 10 Cloverfield Lane. And then at the end of this movie, as like their little shuttle is going down to Earth, like a giant Cloverfield monster, like taller than the clouds, comes out of the clouds and like swallows their shuttle. But the movie's bad. Like it's a road sci-fi movie, and it's just really bad.
All right. Well, I think that takes care of our dishonorable mentions. So let's go ahead and get into what we have decided is our worst film of 2018.
Okay, I think you started the list, so why don't you go first?
Number one for me, my worst film of 2018. It's going to be one that we saw over Christmas break. It actually came out on Christmas, and that's Holmes and Watson. This movie is terrible.
Side note, since you mentioned it, I would like to inform the listeners, we had that on our schedule to do a review of, and I think I said multiple times we were going to. We're not going to do a review
because I saw it and it was terrible.
Because Dylan saw it before I did, and he said it was absolutely garbage, and I said I don't want to waste my money on that. So, and also I need to catch up on it.
It's terrible. What this movie is John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, who is a classic comedy duo.
Classic is stretching.
Questionable classic.
Yeah, they did
Step Brothers together, and it was a hit for them.
Step Brothers and Talladega Nights were both.
Yeah, they've done some okay comedy movies together. What they did is they teamed up for this one. Couldn't get an R rating. This is a PG-13 toned down version of themselves.
That's not good to start with.
With just a bunch of political jokes that don't land, a bunch of jokes making fun of our president, a bunch of jokes making fun of feminism, a bunch of feminist jokes, a bunch of terrible jokes in general. None of the comedy lands. Obviously some physical humor, as they do, and none of it's funny. The story's stupid. Everything about this movie is god-awful. The only thing I think I actually laughed at in this entire film is the Titanic, for some reason, shows up at the end of this movie, even though I'm pretty sure this movie doesn't take place in the early 1900s. The Titanic shows up at the end, and Billy Zane is getting on the Titanic, and obviously Billy Zane was in the 1997 James Cameron Titanic movie, and they turn and look at Billy Zane and go, oh, hey, look, there's Billy Zane, and I actually laughed at that, because, Billy Zane was in Titanic. It was the only thing I laughed at in the entire movie. I was like, that's kind of funny. But this movie's garbage. Awful.
All right, well, for my number one is one of your dishonorable mentions. I actually got Jurassic World as my worst movie. And I'm not going to say maybe not necessarily the worst movie I've seen, but from a absolutely disappointing standpoint, I enjoyed Jurassic World. I know it's not the greatest movie ever set foot on the earth.
It's a popcorn flick.
But I enjoyed it. This movie was terrible. I mean, absolutely. Like you said, like the plot is so rote and generic and stupid. It's unbelievable. The haunted mansion with dinosaurs plot is absolutely stupid. The script feels like it was written by a 12-year-old. Like, absolutely written by a 12-year-old, and I just hate it.
And then the corporate undertones.
Yeah, the corporations are bad. We know. And Chris, like you said, this movie makes Chris Pratt unlikable. That is quite a feat.
That's a feat.
That is an impressive accomplishment right there. And every Jurassic Park movie, I feel like has had some suspense. Like they've been able to get a couple of jump scares out of it with the dinosaurs. This one, they don't even, there's one scene in the mansion where they try and fail, but there's no tension in this movie.
I completely forgot about the clone subplot.
Oh yeah, that clone subplot.
Oh god.
The last line is what did she say? I had to let him go.
I had to let him go because they're like me.
I was like, what? That doesn't matter. Now you killed hundreds of people. Congratulations. I
was like,
they just needed this movie. It was just here.
Oh, and it has one of the most obnoxious characters in the entire Jurassic Park franchise, and that one assistant kid.
What?
The assistant kid, the one back there on our poster back behind you.
Yeah, the one playing in Pikachu.
Yeah, Detective Pikachu. Yeah. He's obnoxious.
I did not really care for him.
He just like screams the whole time. Literally, he screams the entire.
Literally screams the entire. Yeah, he is a little rough. But
did they kill off Rexy? Or T-Rex? Yeah, they did. I thought they did.
What movie were you watching?
No, they killed off the Stegosaurus.
She was real. Not the Stegosaurus, the Bronchiosaurus.
Was it a Bronchi? I thought it was a Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus is the one with the plates on its back with the. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
It's whatever. They killed off that one dinosaur from the originals.
Yeah, that was sad. That was kind of. I was kind of sad at that moment. It was a little overdone, and I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, overall, I was just so disappointed in this movie. Like they did not. This is just a filler movie, so they can have the movie they really wanted for the third one, which is dinosaurs in, where were they at? San Diego, San Francisco?
Everywhere.
Wherever.
Everywhere.
But, which is kind of just the Lost World done over again. The last 15 minutes of the Lost World done over
again. But that one would just be called Jurassic World 3, wouldn't it?
Jurassic World. Well, this one was Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, so that one would probably be Jurassic World
3 something. Because, they have Jurassic Park, then there was...
Jurassic Park, well, actually, Jurassic Park, then they just called the next one The Lost World, and then under it says Jurassic Park. And
which is kind of what they did with this one. So, kind of.
Well, no, they did Jurassic World.
It had, a subtitle, and then, the third one was just Jurassic Park 3.
And then, the third one was just Jurassic
Park. So, this one will be Jurassic World 3.
But, the Lost World, Jurassic Park was it. Like, it was the Lost Pearl, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But anyway, and titles are not important. Just kidding, they are. But anyway, asking these Star Wars fans, they will tell you that titles are important. Overall, it was bad. I was very disappointed. I was mad. This is the only movie I think I've seen this year that I was actively mad at while I was watching it. And I was actively mad at this movie while I was watching it. Because I'm a Jurassic Park fan. I mean, I love the original. I like
the original's amazing.
The Lost World is, it's one of Steven Spielberg's more disappointing films, but it's still pretty solid. Part 3, it's stupid, but it's kind of fun. Jurassic World, like I said, I liked it. I know a lot of people didn't,
but I liked it.
It's a fun popcorn flick. And this one I hated. This is the first one that I just absolutely hated.
Yep. So some real stinkers on our list.
Some real bad movies there. Hope y'all didn't waste your money on them. I'm sure most of you wasted your money on Jurassic World.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
We all did. Okay, so let's get into this this most overrated and most underrated. We're going to start with the most overrated. I'll let you go ahead and start that one.
A Star is Born.
No.
This movie, I'm sure it'll be nominated for every Oscar on the face of the earth. And I will say that I thought Lady Gaga was very good, and I think she deserves the nomination for for leading actress, and for their song. That main song they do is
Shallow.
Shallow is really good, but I will have to say that I was bored for most of this movie. Bradley Cooper does a good job, but him trying to imitate Sam Elliott really got on my nerves after a while. Sam Elliott, who does a great job in this movie, is barely in this movie. I think the screenplay, obviously when you're doing a third remake of a film, this is going to happen, but it's kind of fourth, whatever. It's kind of rote. The plot's predictable. Like, I figured, Bradley Cooper was going to die. And, one of the things that really, kind of bugged me, this is just kind of me, they introduced really late in the movie the fact that Bradley Cooper's dad hung himself with a belt. And then it's I don't remember, 10 minutes later, Bradley Cooper hangs himself with a belt. The fact that Bradley Cooper's dad hung himself with his belt should have been introduced way earlier in the movie, I felt like. That just kind of bugged me. I don't know why of all the stuff, that just really, kind of irked me. It's that should have been introduced way earlier. You can't tell me and then immediately turn around and do it. And then expect me to feel something. I don't know. But, I was just bored. I just thought it was kind of rote. I thought some of the relationship drama was good. Some of it I didn't feel was that great. But, yep, overhyped and not that good, in my opinion.
No.
I know you disagree. I know you loved it.
It was really good.
You love Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. But
yeah. All right.
What's your most overhyped?
So, my most overrated film of 2018 is going to be Black Panther. I really actually do like this movie a whole lot. It's a really good movie, I think. It's a really great Marvel movie. It's got one of the better villains in the entire MCU, I think, in Killmonger. I think that Michael B. Jordan is really great in this film. With that being said, with the cultural phenomena that it was, and all the
good stuff it did.
All the good stuff it did, and the hype surrounding how it was made, I think overshadowed
some problems.
The problems with this film and how good it actually was.
I think it actually, like, if you take away all the stuff surrounding it, I think it's a middle of the road superhero movie.
Honestly, I think it's a good one. It's not in like the top 10 MCU films. It's like
it might be
a little over middle of the road.
I don't think it might be nominated for Best Picture, and I don't think it's near that. It's not like people are saying.
Like Logan was a Best Picture worthy,
and it wasn't nominated.
Worthy superhero film.
And Dark Knight
was a Best Picture worthy superhero film.
I think it was. Was it nominated?
I think it was nominated for Best Picture, and it was nominated for best supporting actor because of Heath Ledger's death.
But people are saying, I've heard people say it's the best superhero movie ever.
Some people say it's better than The Dark Knight.
It's not.
I have to disagree on that. But like I said, I really enjoy the movie. I do think it's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean,
I enjoy Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, and I think it's got a pretty solid story.
Michael B. Jordan does a great job, I think. And
but it has its problems. It's got some questionable CGI in it. It's got
battle rhinos.
It's got battle rhinos that look pretty bad.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
And there are some characters in it that just aren't good, and there is some humor that doesn't land for me.
And the leading character, the Black Panther himself, is like overshadowed by literally everybody else in this movie. I mean, literally everybody else.
Yep.
And like there's like a 20-minute stretch of the movie that he's like,
not in it.
Considered they think he's dead.
Think he's dead.
Like, but I mean, like I said, like you said, it's a good movie. I don't think it's 99% on Rotten Tomatoes good.
No, but it is a really good movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just don't think it lives up to the hype.
All right, so
underrated.
I'm gonna go with my main man here, Clint Eastwood's The Mule. You know, this movie...
It was a really good movie, actually.
It didn't get a great score on Rotten Tomatoes. It got like a 67%.
Which is ridiculous.
Which I guess, if you averaged out my 3.5-star review to a percentage, would be about the same. But
3.5 star out of 5, yeah, I guess it'd be roughly the same.
Whatever. The movie's good. I think it's a really solid movie. I mean, it's not Clint Eastwood's best. I know that. It's got some story problems. I know that. But I think it's really enjoyable, especially for people who are fans of Clint Eastwood and his work. It's exactly what they want out of a Clint Eastwood movie. I really enjoyed it. I think Clint Eastwood's performance was great. I think Bradley Cooper did better than he did in Star Is Born, if you're asking me. So
he's good in that movie.
He wasn't trying to imitate Sam Elliott's voice the whole time, and thank God. But and then everybody else in the supporting cast, I think, does a great job. I like kind of the low key, like, kind of quality it has, like no big action scenes and stuff blowing up and everything. So I mean, I really like it. I can't believe more people didn't like it, but that's not on them. They're Clint Eastwood haters. Whatever. What do you got?
All right, we didn't do top 5 best, did we? Oh, we're finishing with that, right?
Oh yeah, we were gonna do that, but okay. We're doing.
So my most underrated film of the year is actually gonna be one that came out earlier in the year. It came out around I think it came out in March, if I'm not mistaken, February or March. It's Annihilation. I think it's a pretty solid sci-fi flick. I didn't read the book. Aaron over here did.
I did. I sat down, I went and saw this movie on a Sunday night. I got the book on Friday, and I sat and all I did was read Friday and Saturday so I could read. And I mean, it's not that long of a book, the first one's
It's a pretty short one.
And I read all day Friday and Saturday so I could read the book before I went and saw the movie.
But I mean, overall, I think it's pretty solid. Natalie Portman's actually pretty good in this movie, surprisingly for Natalie Portman.
Very surprisingly.
Which Natalie Portman's had some pretty questionable roles. I mean, she's done some really good work.
She's had a couple of good movies.
Black Swan,
which I've not seen. I've heard she's really good in.
Darren Aronofsky.
And she's had a couple other movies I'm sure she's decent in. Of course, what we know her from is Star Wars and Thor. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars, the prequel trilogy, and then the 2 Thor movies, neither of which she's good in.
No.
So,
but I mean, in this she's actually really good. I think Oscar.
I would say really good. She's pretty passable.
She's pretty good in this movie.
Passable.
I think she does a really good job with this story. I think the story is intriguing. It's really interesting to me. I think Oscar Isaac does a pretty good job in the short amount of time that he's in it. Yeah. This is also made by the same guy who made Ex Machina, who Oscar Isaac worked with, which I guess is.
Ex Machina is really good.
Ex Machina was really good actually, but that didn't come out this year.
No.
I think the CGI is pretty good in this movie. Looks looks pretty decent. There's some really cool stuff that happens. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that a lot of people didn't go see it.
Yeah, it was a bomb.
It bombed, and I don't know why, because it's actually a pretty good movie.
It's a decent good movie.
I liked it.
See, it's all how you like. I mean, the success of movies completely depends on how you market them. I don't think this movie was marketed that much or that well, unfortunately for it.
But it's pretty dang good, and I really liked it, and that's why it's my most underrated movie of the year.
Yeah. So is that it?
Yeah, to cap it all off, we're gonna do our top 5.
Yeah, I think
top
we said a
5
while
best.
ago we were gonna do that before we did our most overrated and underrated.
It is what it is.
We're changing up the order. We're gonna go out with a bang here. So,
what are your best movies of the year, Aaron?
Number 5 is the one you just talked about, Annihilation.
Wow.
So
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was going through. I was marking all the movies I've seen and which ones I thought were gonna be. I basically just did like process of elimination, and this came out number 5. It barely made the cut. Like you said, it's a really solid sci-fi film. I like higher level sci-fi films like this. Not perfect, but like you said, Natalie Portman, I'm not gonna say she's great, but she's good. There's one scene though where she makes the exact same like crying face she made at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and I was like laughing for like 5 minutes, like in the theater. Nobody else found it funny apparently. I found it funny.
I saw this by myself.
Yeah. Sorry. There was a few people when because I think I saw it on opening weekend, so there was a few people.
I saw it by myself the week that it came out.
Yeah,
Not opening weekend, I saw it by myself the week it came out. Like a whole 10 people came and saw that at the movie theater the week it came out.
Did y'all have it at Carmike?
At the AMC in Stillwater.
I was gonna say the AMC here didn't go see it. Didn't have it because I remember I had to drive to Malco to go watch it. See, that's part of the reason it didn't do so well either, is it wasn't that wide of a release. But anyway, yeah, it's a solid movie. I like I said, like Dylan said, I read the book first. This movie is much different than the book. Like the book is obviously.
I think you said they try to combine some stuff from the first and the
second. Yeah, this movie, the
third.
book was more like it was a planned trilogy, and I don't know if it's. I mean, the book stands on its own all right, but there are obviously some plot threads left for a sequel in the book. This movie was more. You can tell was more intended to be a one standalone movie thing. I mean, obviously they have that thing at the end, but that's more of a. That's just more of a like
teaser, like a brain
teaser ambiguous thing than it is a sequel setup.
Kind of like the end of Inception.
Yeah, and I really like this movie. It's really solid. All the acting is really solid.
It's a solid sci-fi movie.
Solid sci-fi movie. So that's why I had it number 5. What do you got, number 5?
Coming at number 5 for me, I actually have A Star Is Born in my top 5, and it's my number 5. I really don't you boo me.
Boo.
You're gonna hate my next pick then.
Oh god.
So Star Is Born. I think this movie it's really really good for a 4th remake of a film. I think this does it better than the other ones by far.
Did you watch the other ones?
I've seen the Barbra Streisand one.
Okay, well that one's trash. Barbra Streisand is.
Don't you talk about Barbra Streisand
not
that way?
Good.
Barbra Streisand is an icon.
I don't know how.
But I think A Star Is Born was really excellent. I mean, I can kind of agree with you. This movie gets overlong at times.
It's long.
It's like a 2.5 hour movie.
I think it's 2 hours and like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's a long one. But I mean, I think Bradley Cooper is excellent in this film. Lady Gaga is exceptional in this film. She has a acting career ahead of her.
For someone this is her first major
role. Because I think the only other thing she's really acted in is American Horror Story.
Yeah, she's in a season or 2 of that.
But she is excellent in this film.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott is really, really good in this film. He is not in it enough, I don't think.
I agree.
Even Dave Chappelle isn't bad in this movie, and Andrew Dice Clay, who are both comedians, actually give
Dave Chappelle's in one scene.
He's in one scene, and Andrew Dice Clay is only in 2 scenes in the movie, and he's in it for a grand total of 5 minutes. But for what they're in it, they're good, which is surprising because they're both comedians.
Yeah,
and it's a very dramatic film. Mm-hmm. The soundtrack for this movie is excellent. I love all the music for it.
I love some of it.
There's like maybe 2 songs I don't like in the entire film. But for the most part, out of like 20 tracks in the soundtrack, it's great. I really like it. But I mean, I think Bradley Cooper for his directorial debut, this is some solid work, really solid. And I think it definitely does deserve some Oscar noms. It definitely deserves a Best Director nom, Best Original Song. It deserves, I think, a Best Actress, maybe a Best Actor, maybe a Best Supporting Actor for Sam Elliott. And I can see Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yeah, I could go with Best Leading Actress. I could go with. I think Sam Elliott is really good. I just don't know if he's in the film enough to justify a supporting actor.
A supporting actor nom.
But then again, people have been in movies less and won it, so. Whatever.
I think it's really good though. I really like this film.
But overall, I was just bored. Like I couldn't help. I was just bored. That's a problem when I'm bored. But
I think it really deals with like the struggles of people who battle addiction.
It does, and it does that well. But
and I think if you experience that kind of situation in your life, been involved in that kind of situation, it has a little bit more emotional weight to you.
Yeah.
So.
Coming in at my number 4, though, moving on, is a movie that I've actually kind of liked the more I've thought about it since we saw it.
I wanted to put this one in my list, but I just couldn't. I really like it.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
It's so good.
I'm still not going to say it's better than the Spider-Man 2, but
it's really good.
It makes a close run for second best Spider-Man, if nothing else. I love the animation style in it. I talked about this in our review. I love the animation style of it. The voice acting is great. The supporting characters are all really good. There are a couple of story problems here and there, but overall, this movie was it was surprising. That's the big thing for me, is because when I first heard about this movie, I was like, oh, this is going to be a Sony cash grab and it's going to be bad. I saw the first trailer, I was like, yep, Sony cash grab, it's going to be bad. But it's really surprised me just how well done it was. I think it won the Golden Globe for Best Animated Picture, and I think it deserved it. I think it deserves to be nominated for Best Animated Picture for an Oscar. I don't know if it deserves to win necessarily, but it definitely deserves to be nominated if it doesn't deserve to win. So, really liked it. It was a solid Spider-Man film. I'm always for those. So, it was my number 4.
All right, coming in at my number 4 is a movie that Aaron over here is going to say is ridiculously overhyped. For me, I can see where he's coming from, because, if we're being honest, it's not that great a movie, but for me, even though I'm not old enough, the nostalgia and all the pop culture references in it are completely awesome for me.
Don't do it.
It's Ready Player One.
Oh.
I love this movie so much.
That should have been my most overrated movie.
No way, man.
But then I realized you're the only one that really likes it.
I love it so much. I saw this movie 4 times in theaters.
Oh my god.
I've seen it 3 times since it came out on TV.
This movie's not that good, Dylan. You got a problem.
I really like it. It's not Steven Spielberg's best work by any stretch of the imagination.
Steven Spielberg has not made a really good movie since what's that one with Tom Cruise?
Minority Report.
Minority Report in 2002. That's the last good movie he's made.
But anyway, I really enjoy this film. I like the characters. The book is even better. I really like the book. I borrowed the book from Aaron, and it is really good.
I like the book better because it has more.
It has a lot more references in it. Obviously, they couldn't use in the movie because Warner Brothers doesn't own that much stuff.
Yeah, the book literally has Ultraman and Mechagodzilla fighting at the end, and I was like, total nerd freak out for me. The movie tones that down a little bit.
Yeah, they tone it down, which obviously they're using what they can with
they get the rights
Warner Brothers and Steven Spielberg's works.
They couldn't get the rights to Star Wars.
But this is a huge overload of pop culture and nerd references, and I love every second of it. And it's just a really fun time for me, and that's why it's my number 4, because I loved it so much.
It's a mill.
I should have been born in the 70s and grown up in the 80s.
No.
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
Well, coming in at my number 3 is Infinity War.
All right.
Obviously, the movie's got problems. It's overstuffed with characters, and some of the CGI on some of the people are a little eh. But the CGI with Thanos is wonderful.
Have I ever told you that I had someone argue with me one time?
I think you already said this.
Did I already say that? Yeah. Someone argued with me that the CGI of Steppenwolf is better.
It's not.
It's not.
But this movie, as a cap to 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Not quite. We got one more.
Not a cap, but like a pre-cap. It's really good. I think they did a great... when you're tasked with balancing like 60 Marvel characters, I think they did a really good job with it. I think that the emotional punch at the end is really good until they ruin it with this next one. But I just think it's a really good film. The acting is all really good. Like I said, I was really emotionally affected by Spider-Man's death. I don't know why, because I knew he was coming back, even as he was dying. But it really hit me hard. I really like this movie. I'm not going to say it's the best MCU film. I still think that would go somewhere to either Winter Soldier or the first Avengers film. I think those two are still better than this one, in my opinion. But it's a really solid film, and it comes in at my number 3. Best superhero movie that came out this year. Some would say Spider-Man. It's right there with that and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Really close. I put this one above Spider-Man, though. So
All right. Well, coming in at number 3 for me is going to be Hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
This was really, really good. It was a complete and total surprise. Kind of just came out of nowhere from pretty much a first-time director, I think. He's not. Really sure. I don't think he's directed a lot, but it's one of. I think it's his first feature-length film, if I'm not mistaken. And coming out of someone who's not very seasoned and hasn't done a whole lot is really impressive. This film is excellent. I think that it's supposed to be a horror movie, obviously, and it is to a degree, but I think moreover it's a family drama. It deals with loss and how people cope with that and the situations that come after that. And I think it does a great job of that. I think Toni Collette's performance in this movie is excellent. I could almost see her getting an Oscar nom for Best Actress.
She should.
She's really, really good in this film. I really enjoyed almost every aspect of this movie, except for toward the end it gets a little bit out there. Other than that, this film is excellent. And it is I guess I'm going to say it's the best horror film of 2018, because there's another film that's going to be on my list that I wouldn't necessarily consider a horror film, even though it was kind of marketed this one.
All right, so at number 2, I have Hereditary.
All right.
So, like, all the stuff you said is exactly right. I really love this film up until the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, the last 5-10 minutes is ridiculous.
It kind of falls apart, kind of turns into a generic horror movie. But up until then, I love the family drama aspect of this. And
it's like a psychological thriller.
Yeah, and the way he plays with, is this really happening, or is this woman just really crazy and doing this to her family? And I really like all that.
Some great scenes and imagery in this movie.
Yeah, they kind of throw, like I said, that away over the last 10 minutes. But up until then, I was really invested in this movie. And so, I mean, as far as horror movies, like literal horror movies go, I think this was the best one. Like, I think me and you had the same number 1 movie here, and I'm sure the audience knows.
They can tell by the way we're talking about it.
But I would consider that one, I would classify that more as a thriller. But you see more, like, off subject a little bit. You see more and more thrillers calling themselves horror movies, kind of like Escape Room was not a horror movie, but it marketed itself as a horror movie, I think, to try to get younger people to go see it more. But off topic. Back to topic. Hereditary, it's a really great, I guess what they call elevated horror movie. Like, it's more about just the scares.
Cerebral, kind of.
Yeah, and it's really solid, and if you haven't seen it, I think you should seek it out and find it.
Absolutely. All right, well, coming to number 2 for me is going to be Infinity War.
Okay.
Everything you said about this movie is really true. It's excellent. It's a great precursor to the cap on 10 years of movies. I mean, 20 movies. It's crazy. And to have this many characters in the movie, Anthony and Joe Russo did such a great job with it. I think they did everything that they possibly could with this movie. And like you said, some of the CGI for certain characters is a little questionable, and there's some other stuff that's a little questionable in it. But overall, it's got a really great story, I think. I think it's really cool to see all these characters coming together. I think Thanos, even though he is the villain, one of the things I can't commend enough about this movie is that they actually make you feel for Thanos.
Yeah.
He's got a reason for what he's doing, and you understand why he's doing what he's doing. You almost feel for him.
He's my favorite Marvel villain so far of the MCU.
He's got a lot of depth to his character, which is really great. And they added in this film. I just really, really like this movie. I think I'm excited to see Endgame, but I think my biggest problem that I'm gonna have with this movie is that Endgame is gonna take away all the emotional weight of this film.
Yeah, or at least some of it.
All right. Well, let's get into our honorable mentions, since we did dishonorable mentions.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to do that before we really. Oh wait, no.
In between 2 and 1.
We haven't said our number 1 yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you do your number 2?
Yes, I did. There was Hereditary.
Okay.
All right, so I guess I'll go first with my first honorable mention. I'm going to go with Incredibles 2. This is a really solid Pixar animated movie. I'm not going to say it's quite as good as the first one. It's right there. But I really enjoyed watching this movie. The villains are weak, yes.
It's no Toy Story 3.
It's no Toy Story 3. But it's there are some... I love the sequence with the baby fighting the raccoon is one of the best Pixar sequences I think I've seen. It's really entertaining. All the family drama is really good in this movie. I really like all the characters. Like I said, all the old characters that come back. Some of the new characters are kind of iffy, but like I said, it was really solid Pixar animated films. Pixar still at their best. So I got it as an honorable mention.
All right. Well, my first honorable mention, Aaron is probably not going to agree with, and that's going to be Mission Impossible Fallout.
He's alright.
As the 6th film in a franchise, I think this movie does everything right. It's really, really good. It's one of the best action films I've seen in a long time. I think the last one before that was probably Fury Road. That was this good.
Yeah.
But to be the 6th film in a franchise and to be the best film in the entire franchise is saying something. Mm-hmm. They are going to make 2 more, which they just announced. Should they? Absolutely not. Are they? Yes, they are.
This franchise needs to die.
Christopher McQuarrie is coming back to direct that one and the one after that one, which he directed number 5 and this one. And I think he does an excellent job with this movie. Action sequences are great. The cinematography in this film is excellent. I think Tom Cruise is really good. I think Ving Rhames is really good. I even like Simon Pegg. I like the guy who plays Solomon Lane, whose name I can't think of right now. Rebecca Ferguson's good. And the other girl who plays Ilsa.
Yeah.
I think she's really good. I think everyone's really good, and I think that Christopher McQuarrie does such a great job of creating tension in this film, especially in that final scene with the helicopter chase. I think he does a great job with it. I really, really enjoy this film, and like I said, as a 6th film in a franchise, pretty impressive that it's the best one. I really wanted to put Spider-Man at that spot, but I love Mission Impossible so much that I had to put it over Spider-Man.
My second honorable mention is Creed 2. You know, I think I was kind of rough on this movie in the review a little bit as far as like the story went, and it's not perfect. There's some story issues, but as a newfound Rocky fan, that's what I call myself, I thought it was a really solid Rocky movie. It was better than most of the Rocky sequels. I
honestly think it's probably the 3rd best movie in the entire franchise.
Probably, yes. It got me pumped up in the boxing scene when he started playing the Rocky theme. I think Michael B. Jordan is still great in this movie.
He is really good.
I think Sylvester Stallone. I think Sly Stallone is still really good in this movie. I think that what's his girlfriend's? What's the actress name? Tessa Thompson. I'm sorry. She was in Annihilation too. She's really good in that. But Tessa Thompson's really good. So. Oh, and the Dragos, Dolph Lundgren.
It's actually pretty good in this movie.
It's actually pretty good. I was kind of shocked. And the guy playing his son, both really good. I really liked this movie, so I had to give it an honorable mention.
All right. Well, my second honorable mention is going to be Searching. This film kind of came out of nowhere too, kind of similar to Hereditary. It's not really a horror movie. This is definitely a thriller. Came out of nowhere. John Cho's in it, and he does an excellent job in this film. Mm-hmm. I think this movie also does a really great job, like MI6, does a really great job of creating tension and building that tension. And I think this movie had such a low budget. It was filmed, like you've seen some of those other films, through the aspect of like webcams, kind of.
Yeah.
And like with the computer.
I was really apprehensive about watching this movie.
Yeah, I was like,
told me it was good.
I was like, could be questionable when I first saw the first trailer for it. I was like, I don't know about that. And then I went and saw it. It was actually really good. John Cho, like I said, is excellent. The story that this movie follows is a man's daughter goes missing, and he works with investigators to try to find her or find out what happened to her, all through the POV of a computer. And the way he goes about it is really, really well done. It's really well directed, really well made, and I think the twist at the end is actually a really good twist where we find out that the cop is covering for her son, John Cho's daughter went and met her son, and he happened to shove her off a cliff basically, and she covered up for it.
I don't know if I like the fact that she lived, but other than that, I like the twist.
But I mean, it's a really, really good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think it was a really big surprise for me. And that's why it gets an honorable mention.
All right, so I guess we'll just talk about our number one.
Let's talk about our number one. It's A Quiet Place.
It's A Quiet Place.
Obviously.
I think I've said that several times on the podcast that A Quiet Place was the best movie I saw last year.
It was really hard to beat out.
It is really hard to beat out. The way that... Now, I don't know if on repeat viewings, after you know what's going to happen, if it holds up as well.
Which I've only seen it twice.
I've only seen it twice. But the way that John Krasinski was able to create tension... through just the simple fact of not having sound. Like, the first time I watched this movie, I was on edge the entire movie.
So good.
Because of the way, like, they utilized the fact that
and
there's
for
no sound.
him directing, this is his first feature-length film. It's really, really amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's one huge plot hole that if you let that bother you, you're gonna probably not enjoy this movie as much. Is like how do they have power without having a loud generator? But, you know, other than that, this movie is really well thought out, really great.
Powered by water.
Right. That's what they had that waterfall for. But...
That was kind of another plot hole, too. Like, is the waterfall really loud enough to cover up the sound of your voice?
That didn't bother me. Yeah, I mean, I went with that.
I can go with it, but it's still a little questionable. But
I wouldn't be taking that risk.
No.
Like, I understood, like, the logic behind it, but I wouldn't be taking that risk if I was John Krasinski's character. But,
he's so good in this movie.
The family dynamic in this movie is great.
Which, I mean, it's him and his wife, so.
And Emily Blunt, yeah. Emily Blunt is
really
phenomenal.
good in this movie.
She deserves a...
She really does.
I said that she should win Best Actress for this movie.
She's so good.
I think she should win it over Lady Gaga.
She's so good.
I don't think she's being talked about. And
she's really not.
And it bugs me.
If she doesn't at least get a nomination, I'm going to be upset. She's so good in this movie.
Yeah, one thing we talked about, like we were talking about like with Hereditary, we considered that the best horror movie. This has labeled itself. They labeled this a horror movie.
It's not.
I mean, it's not.
It's got aspects that could be considered.
It's got aspects of a horror movie, but it's a thriller. This is more of a thriller. It's another one of those things where they kind of mislabeled it, but it's a sci-fi thriller, and it's a good sci-fi thriller, and I really enjoyed it.
I like how you don't really see the monster a whole lot either throughout the entire film. You see it once toward the beginning when it
takes the kid. The best scene in the whole movie is the very beginning when it like takes the kid.
It takes the kid, and then you see at the end a little bit. You see some shots of him.
Yeah, at the end they show him quite a bit, but overall, and they're coming out with a sequel.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know. Yeah,
it's kind of lightning in a bottle. Can it strike twice?
Can it strike twice? I don't know. Like after you know
there are talks about it being a prequel.
Ooh, I don't know. I think John Krasinski came out recently and said it was going to be a sequel. But...
I heard there are talks about it being a prequel. I also heard there are talks about it being a separate family.
That would be an interesting idea.
In the same world, which I guess is kind of the Cloverfield thing.
Kind of the Cloverfield
kind of Cloverfield-y.
Except the only difference would be that they would go into this movie knowing it's a spin-off sequel.
I guess we'll find out.
But
this movie is excellent.
This movie's really good.
John Krasinski, kudos to you. You had the best film of the year.
Yeah, good job.
Jim from The Office.
Jim from The Office. He's come so far.
Our little boy grew up.
Yeah, I know, right? That beard he's got.
Yeah.
He doesn't hardly look like himself anymore.
He sacrifices himself at the end of the movie too, and that was really emotional. I was like, no.
I know. Oh man.
He's like, he really loved his daughter, and his daughter spends the whole movie thinking that he doesn't love him, and then, like right before he dies, he like signs "I love you" to her, and then he screams, and I'm like,
and he gets brutally murdered.
I'm like, sad day, but it's such a good movie.
Yeah. Yep. So is that all we have?
I think that caps it off. So 2018, we're
our next episode is our 2019 preview episode.
Or look forward, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to this upcoming year. We got plans. I think we've talked about restructuring our review episodes a little bit.
Yeah. Which we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah, and especially when we get into our first review, which I'm going to go ahead and say that we've done some schedule changes. Instead of doing Holmes and Watson and whatever else we were planning to do, we're going to review Unbreakable and Split in anticipation of Glass.
Yep.
And then we're going to review the following weekend or however they come out. They're going to come out kind of close together or not or jumbled.
Or after that, we're going to do Phantom Menace.
We're going to do Phantom Menace.
Start our Star Wars series.
Start our Star Wars series. And then we'll do Glass. And then I think we have like Serenity.
Serenity, which is that Jason Clarke and Anne Hathaway movie.
I thought it was Matthew McConaughey.
Jason Clarke.
It's got Matthew McConaughey.
It's got some people in it. It's got Anne Hathaway.
It's got. I think it's Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, and then Jason Clarke's like a supporting actor.
I guess we'll find out. I don't remember.
You're the one that wanted to watch it.
No, we went through it when we were creating our list.
I know.
And
I said I don't know about this, and you said I wanted to watch it, and then I was like, okay.
No, that's not how it went down.
That's how it happened.
That's not how. That's
exactly how it happened.
That's not how it happened.
Yes, it is.
You said, "Well, do we want to leave this on here for this week?" And you're like, I was like, I don't know. We can if you want to. You're like, it could be interesting. Okay. And then you left it on there.
Okay, whatever. I'm not arguing with you anyway.
We can cut all that arguing out. But I mean, 2018 was a good year. I think we had a pretty fun time.
I mean, yeah, we were only on the air for October, November, December, 3 months.
For 3 months, yeah, and we had, I mean, which is not a huge
2.5 months, really.
Not a huge amount of I mean, I guess we put out 30 episodes in a year.
In 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
So
it's not bad. We did a good amount of content. We had a couple hits.
We had a good hit with our Creed.
Quote unquote.
Creed review took off really well.
150 listens.
I don't know how that happened, but
it wasn't promoted.
Go us.
I mean, people must have really liked that movie. And
yeah, our listens have way went down since then. Like, way.
Which we did some movies that no one really cared about.
I know. I thought our Aquaman and Spider-Man, but I think it's because
we released them really late.
We released them really late, which I think hurt us. So we need this year. That's one of my big focuses. We want to release the reviews within a few days, within a week at least, of the movie coming out.
Yeah.
My 2 episodes a week on specified days have kind of fallen by the wayside. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, because I think our original plan was Tuesdays we'll do discussions and Sundays we'll do reviews.
Yeah. Turns out editing takes time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And when you're in school or have 2 jobs.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have school and work coming up. I don't know, it's gonna be rough, but we will make it through. This podcast will survive. And
we're having
also,
a good time, so.
Speaking podcasting, I'm gonna go ahead and start pumping up my new podcast coming in May.
You're gonna do it?
I'm gonna do it coming in May. Starting this May, debuting with the new. Well, actually, we'll do an introduction episode before, but the big debut will be with the new Godzilla film. I will be debuting my very own Godzilla / monster themed podcast, tentatively titled. I can't get the word out. Tentatively titled "Stomp This Way," with subject to change the title, but I kind of like the title. I kind of grown fond of it. So be looking for that this May. It's work in progress. 1 episode a week. We will review a different giant monster movie every week.
He already has 2 years of content.
I already have 2 years of content planned out. So maybe Dylan will join us as a guest star every once in a while, however often he wants to, feels like it. And be me and Andrew most of the time. Have to work on Andrew's podcasting skills.
He's questionable.
He is questionable. It'll work out.
But 2018 was a fun year. I'm glad we started this.
2018 was a fun year. I enjoyed podcasting. I don't know if I enjoy editing, but I enjoyed podcasting.
Editing sucks.
Editing kind of sucks.
But it's nice. It's fun to sit and talk about movies. So.
Fun to sit and talk about movies. So I think that's all we have for this episode.
Yep.
As always, thanks for listening. Let's pump up those social media sites that we need to really market this year.
Yeah, we're up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find us on all those platforms at DNA Film Wars, all lowercase, no space. Give us a like or a follow.
Yeah, and if you have any specific comments and or questions, you can contact us at dnafilmwars@gmail.com. We are up on all major podcatching services. Feel free to leave us a review.
We are also up on YouTube with our audio files.
Yep. So with all that being said, I'm Aaron.
I'm Dylan, and thanks for joining us in 2018.